you get out of something what you put into it.
Right.
And I put into it, and it has given me much back.
Now we're going to branch off a little bit, if you don't mind. But what drew you to the Sons of Union Veterans of the Civil War?
I had an uncle whose name was also Richard. He was a family historian. I got interested in the whole Civil War thing. I was visiting him, and he started to tell me about Richard Martin Lown. And I never even knew we'd had anybody that had been in the Civil War. I didn't know we'd had anybody that had been in the Revolution. I didn't know anything much at all about our family history. Because people, my mother, father, and my grandparents, they didn't talk about history, family stuff. I think they thought that was old-fashioned, and they were trying to live modern 1960s and 70s lives, and they were, we don't talk about the past. That's just old stuff, and no, it doesn't really matter. We're looking forward. But my Uncle Dickie was really caught up in this, and so he started talking about Richard, and I started asking questions. And once I found out I had a relative who had actually been in the Civil War, then I started getting interested in the Civil War. Mm-hmm. And I started doing a little bit more research, and finding out a little, slowly but surely, more and more things. And then I found out that my parents had taken me to Gettysburg when I was 5 years old. And they had photographs. And so there's these great pictures of me at the high water mark when I'm 5, right? But of course, when I'm 5, I don't remember anything at all about it, right? So I just got so interested. And so I saw an ad in a magazine that said, Sons of Union Veterans of the Civil War are looking for members. And I thought, I don't know. But when I finally retired from the Navy and I moved up here to Lynchburg, that was in '95. About a year later, I got the idea that I would go ahead and fill out this thing and send it in to whoever these people were. They had a camp in Roanoke, Virginia, which is about 50 miles from here, the Chamberlain camp. So I filled out this application, sent it off. Next thing I know, I get this letter from this gentleman at this camp. But do I really want to be a member? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm up to my eyeballs and you're 50 miles away. And you have your meetings when? And he says, oh, we have our meetings at like 5:30 on Tuesday nights or something like that. And I'm like, I don't get done work until 4:30 and there's no way I can do that. And so from 1997 to about 2005, I was a paper member. I didn't attend meetings. I was a member. I paid my dues. Then, this is because it all comes together. The people here in Lynchburg, who I was hanging out with as part of the 105th Pennsylvania reenacting group, I find out from them that there's this, they're trying to start a Sons camp here in Lynchburg. And so I'm like, oh, wow, count me in, because I said, can you transfer from where you are? And so it was, there were 8 of us. 8 of us, original guys, got together at a local historic venue here, which a house, Sandusky House, which had served as General David Hunter's headquarters during the Battle of Lynchburg, which happened in June of 1864. And so we're over there talking. We put all the paperwork in, and we applied to the Department of what was then Maryland to become a camp. Paperwork went through. We were made a camp. Then I got seriously interested. The camp commander, a wonderful gentleman by the name of Clifton Potter, who is a professor here at, or retired professor now, at Lynchburg, University of Lynchburg here. He was our first camp commander. He said to me, Mark, I can't go to the annual department encampment. Would you go and represent us? So I went up to Fredericksburg, attended my very first department encampment, met a whole bunch of brothers, and I met Don Darby. Don Darby was commander. And these wonderful men sort of just took me in, made me feel really comfortable about things. At the end of the meeting, somebody looks at me and goes, oh, well, we just elected you a delegate to the national. So 2006, I'm off to Harrisburg to be the representative, one of the representatives from Department of Maryland to the national encampment in Harrisburg. And when I get there, I meet Jim Paul and Don Darby, our past commanders-in-chief.
Right.
These gentlemen again, and others who were there. And I just felt so welcomed. And I saw that this was an organization that seemed to have a real purpose and a mission, and they were forward-looking. And I thought, I need to get really, really involved here. And so from that moment, it's kind of funny. We became a camp. By accident, I ended up going to the department encampment. By presence, I ended up becoming a delegate to the national encampment.
It's funny how that sometimes happens in our organization.
And the next thing I knew, with our camp, I was patriotic instructor. And then I was the junior vice, senior vice, and then I was camp commander for 2 years. And after being camp commander, somebody in the department, Mike Paquette, another fine gentleman, said, you know, I think this guy's got something that we need. Maybe he's got a little bit of something that can help us move forward. And they gave me an award, the highest award that they had, the Schlenker Award, named after a past commander-in-chief.
Mm-hmm.
And they asked me if I wanted to be involved at the department level as an officer. And so I agreed, and Gene Mordorf made me the patriotic instructor for the department. And that was the stepping stone to becoming junior vice for the department, and then senior vice, and then department commander. At every level, I gave 100% and tried to do everything possible to advance the mission and the goals of the order. People must have thought I was doing a good job, because the next thing I know, people were asking me, do I want to be a national officer? Between 2006 and 2017, just 11 years, I went from being non-involved to being the head man in charge. Although the head man in charge isn't really all that much in charge. There's a whole lot of people that have some things to say, whether or not how things happen. But I think that this organization can provide a wonderful avenue for somebody who really wants to do something to benefit society, to benefit history, to benefit education. You get out of something what you put into it.
Right.
And I put into it, and it has given me much back. And I have a lot of lovely people that I know, and I have a lot of friends and brothers that I would have never had had I not been involved in this. I think some ways those friendships and those relationships are even more important than, to me now, than than doing the work of the order. I think that there's strength in people. There's strength in coming together with other people. I think that those relationships are really what matter to me now the most. So anyway, that's kind of how I got into it and how it developed for me. And now I'm one of the has-beens.
No, you're not one of the has-beens. Not at all.
Well,
you're one of the gentlemen that we look up to and respect.
Well, I appreciate that.
We're honored to know you, and we're honored to be able to work with you. But do you want to touch base with maybe an educational program or something of that nature that you delved into?
Well, probably the things that I did that were actually program oriented. I used to have your job. I used to be the promotions and marketing guy. When it first started, I was asked to take that job on. I'm glad to see that it has evolved into something more than what it was when I had that job. Trying to get the name of the organization out into the public.
Mm-hmm.
That has been one of the projects that I was involved in, and I'm still kind of involved in that. As Commander-in-Chief, I made a big point of talking to the idea that we weren't very well known in the world, and that we needed to become more known in the world. And
right.
That's part of why I think you're doing what you're doing right now.
Yeah.
And so in a sense, I'm participating in that project at right this very moment. And I'm very happy to be doing that. Another aspect that I've looked at or been participating in has been working with the Allied Orders. I don't know if other people have talked about the Allied Orders or if that's come up. There's more than just the SUVCW. There are the Daughters of the Veterans of the Civil War. There are the Women's Relief Corps.
Mm-hmm.
The Ladies of the Grand Army of the Republic. These are all what we call Allied Orders. And of course, we also have the auxiliary to the Sons. I've had the opportunity to work with those organizations and come to understand them and their role in the overall goals of of our order and our mission, which is to perpetuate the knowledge of the sacrifice of the men who gave their lives to preserve this nation between 1861 and 1865, and to make sure that we educate people about what they did, to educate people on the patriotic principles. These are all things that we have to do, and we do these things together as an overall group along with the Allied Orders. And working with the Allied Orders has been really a lot of fun. And I've made a whole group of friends in that venue too. So I think that those two things are big issues. There are other things that I worked on that I'd like to see culminated that are still in the works. Things like getting a national headquarters, trying to find ways to increase membership. These are all very important things that over the years I've worked with, but this is the crux of it. Whatever we're doing has to be focused on that mission,
Right.
which is to perpetuate, educate, and to ensure that the memory of all of our ancestors and their sacrifices are not lost.
Right.
And so that is in itself the great project that all of us are participating in.
And in order to do that, we need to be able to secure the sustainability of the SUVCW.
Absolutely.
And,
Absolutely.
And
I'm
trying to do that through these programs as far as an outreach to let people see what we're about, who we are.
Mm-hmm.
you know, one of our next questions is how would we go about, or what have you thought about bringing younger members into the order?
The reality is that we are an organization that has about 10% of our membership under the age of 30. And that is a number that we have to work at. Young people, and I'm going to be as honest as I can here, young people are busy with their lives. I think back to my own experience. When did I become interested? Even though my uncle had gotten the bug in me about the Civil War, I didn't get interested until I had time. We tend to recruit people who are in their late 40s through their early 60s, simply because they are at that point in their life that they have the time, their responsibilities to their younger children are less intense. So when you say, how do we go about getting younger people in that 20 and 30 age group to join, I think we have to do a couple of things. One, we need to have a vibrant program that actually produces or gives them a sense of being in part of a successful organization. In other words, how do you get young people in? They want to see something that has results. Mm-hmm. They don't want to sit and talk. They don't want to sit in a meeting and hear a patriotic instruction. They want to put wreaths on graves for wreaths across America. They want to go out and mark graves. They want to do something that's hands-on, that feels rewarding, that feels that they can touch, that they can have a sense of accomplishment from. They don't want to sit and listen to people talk about doing things. They want to do things. So if we're going to get members in that younger group, we have to have programs at the camp level that are those kind of programs that are satisfying and rewarding, hands-on, constantly doing something. You can't just say, oh, we're going to put in a monument this year or a marker, and then that's all you do. You have to have a set of things that you're constantly involved in, because idleness is our enemy. You know, my mother always used to say, idleness was the devil's workshop. That if you weren't busy, then you were going to get into trouble. And our trouble is that we don't get the younger members, and that's because we're just not active enough. And we have a lot of camps that are just meeting camps. And I don't have a problem with that. But we have to have a mix of things so that people can find their slot. But younger people, they tend to want to have something active, something vibrant. And so if I had any advice at all to give there, we need to develop programs. And then maybe another side of that is, these people have younger children. We need to do a better job of maybe providing some sort of programs for youth.
Right.
I realize the constraints we operate under there because of recent times and the various legalities of working with youth. But if you're going to bring the dad, you need to have something there if he wants to bring the son. Those things kind of go together. My pastor one time, when I was living still down in Virginia Beach, said, in order to fill the pew, you have to fill the nursery. You have to have kids to bring in the young people. If you got an empty nursery, you got to die in church. And so we need to find ways to invigorate some sort of programs that appeal family-ish, maybe.
Right.
And we need to probably work a little bit closer with our sisters in the allied orders. And I know that that's a hard nut to sell, because
Well, it's actually not a hard nut to sell. It's just something that hasn't really developed.
well here,
It's something
yeah,
that if we start doing the reach out, and
well,
I
I
don't
think
mean to preach here, but if it's something that comes down to reaching out, this whole process of what we're doing, why this is part 2, part 1 of this is interviewing our brothers who are 20 to 35. And almost to the man so far has hit on just about everything that you've said. And we need to reach out. We need to become a part of these brothers' families. We need to get them to bring their children out into, not just the males, the females as well, out into the cemeteries to flag and look for graves and things of that nature,
right,
so that they can get hands-on experience. We have camps that are active in cemetery restoration work.
mm-hmm.
Those camps generally bring in younger members.
And that's, again,
You know,
it's an active thing, and they can see a tangible result.
right?
And
Right. Yep.
and they don't want to put their money and their time into something that doesn't produce tangible results.
Right.
And isn't the family orientation is necessary in order to get young people, because their children are the most important part of their lives. Otherwise, all we're going to get is people who are 45 to 65, whose responsibilities have diminished on that end.
Right. And one of the other things that the committee has done is we've started reaching out to universities. We've started reaching out to them twofold. One, to see if they have history programs running or history clubs that are running. And if they do, if we can, if they would welcome us in to give lectures on the GAR and the SUVCW and things of that nature, to offer our expertise and our knowledge to help instruct and educate the youth about us.
And that's what we need to do. And that comes down to the basic mission, going back to it.
Right.
To perpetuate, you must educate, inculcate. Those words have real meaning, and we sort of just repeat them sometimes in a ritualistic kind of way, but they have real meanings and real purpose. And
definitely.
So we need to be looking at that. So that's my hint to you, or my suggestion on how you get younger members.